I have made multiple team breakdown videos, but I haven't talked about my team yet, and my team is the Dallas Cowboys, and it's about time I talk about them. Every single year since 1996, the Cowboys have had a talented roster, but they've always choked in the playoffs. And what's crazy is that the Cowboys have a talented roster this year with some of the best players in the league on their team, but we're also led by very notable chokers. Okay, well, anyway, I'm gonna do what I do in every single team breakdown video. I'm gonna say all the players' names, and I'm gonna tell you why they're good or not. Yeah, let's go. Usually for the Cowboys in free agency, it's very boring. We don't make any big noise or big acquisitions, but this season we did in Brandon Cooks. Let's look at the trade real quick. So obviously we get Brandon Cooks. I'm so ready for him to take the field, by the way, but more on that later. The only player we gave up was Noah Brown, and while he was decent for us, to give him up for Brandon Cooks, yeah, I'll take that every day of the week. We gave up our 2023 5th round pick, and they ended up trading that pick to the Rams, and the Rams ended up taking Nick Hampton, who was a linebacker from Appalachian State. So let's see how it turns out. The other pick we gave up was a 2024 6th round pick, which is whatever, unless he turns out to be like a Hall of Famer or something. Then that would really suck, but yeah, whatever. I'm so ready for him to take the field. He's got such great speed, and he's been one of the most consistent players in the league for, well, ever since he entered the NFL. The other big name we got this offseason was 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, Stephon Gilmore. Maybe I'm a casual for this, but I hated the trade at the time. I thought Stephon Gilmore was washed, and then I looked at his stats from last season, and he was pretty good. Stephon Gilmore revived his career in 2022 as he recorded 2 interceptions, 11 passes deflected, and 66 tackles. As you can see on the screen, 66 tackles is a career high for Stephon Gilmore, and making a career high in any stat in your 11th season is not easy to do. He also made the Pro Bowl team, which in 2022, that doesn't really matter anymore, but yeah, he made the Pro Bowl team. But I'm not gonna lie, I can see this being a risky move for the Cowboys at the end of the season. We could rather get 2022 Stephon Gilmore, or we could get 2021 Stephon Gilmore. But there is also the bad side to free agency, and we lost 2 very notable guys to our offense. First is that we lost our tight end Dalton Schultz, ironically enough, to the Texans. And the second and most obvious one is the loss of Ezekiel Elliott. We released him in March, and he signed with the Patriots recently. So Ezekiel Elliott, it's going to be very sad not having you on the team. Enough with free agency, let's talk about the roster. Let's now go over the roster, and of course, in the season, somehow Dak Prescott led the league in interceptions, which, you know, that should be inevitable, but I mean, we need a power back. Every team needs that. Let's now finally talk about the wide receiver group, and I was talking about it earlier in the video, and now I finally get to continue back to, I guess, my good rambling, I don't know. I think CeeDee Lamb has the potential to become a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL this season, and yes, I'm saying that. I truly do believe that. I've seen people put him in his top 5, which I don't think he's there yet, but he can definitely be top 3 by the end of the season. I already talked about Brandon Cooks for the most part, so I'm going to talk about Michael Gallup. And Michael Gallup, he's kind of been regressing from a bunch of injuries and stuff like that in the NFL. Besides that, everyone else is kind of just there. I think Jalen Tolbert has the potential to become pretty decent in the next few seasons, and Devontae Turpin, he's a GOAT. He's a pretty good returner. Let's now talk about this tight end group, and before Dalton Schultz left, I think this was one of the best tight end groups in the NFL, but now that he's gone, it's gone downhill. Obviously, it's not bad, but it's not as good as it once was. But now it's time for Jake Ferguson to step up, and I think he will. He just won't be Dalton Schultz. I know I'm treating Dalton Schultz like he's Travis Kelce in this video, but he was a pretty good tight end. He's top 5, but obviously he's not Travis Kelce. Let's now talk about the O-line, and I have a love-hate relationship with this. To be honest, I thought Tyron Smith retired, but I guess not, but I'm okay with it because he's a good leader and he's one of the best linemen of all time, but he's very injury prone, so that sucks. Tyler Smith last year was pretty good as a rookie, so this year I expect him to take the next step forward and possibly be a Pro Bowler. I'm going to kind of skip over Tyler Diaz. I don't know. He's been on the team for a few years and I still don't know how to say his name. And Terrence Steele. I'm going to skip over them both because they're just kind of alright. They're average. But I said earlier how Tyron Smith is one of the best O-line of all time. Well, Zach Martin is even better. He's already had a Hall of Fame career. I think he has more Pro Bowls then he's had holding penalties, which is absolutely insane, so I expect more of that this season. Let's look at the front four, and it's pretty good. DeMarcus Lawrence is a very underrated player, and Sam Williams, he was pretty good last year as a rookie. I don't know if he'll start at all, but he's pretty good. He's decent. Jonathan Hankins, I don't know much about. Mozzie Smith was our first round rookie from this season, so hopefully he can be good. Oza, I don't even know how to say that name. He's alright. And of course, Micah Parsons, the guy, I didn't know they listed him as a DN though, but obviously he's a guy. He's a top 10 player in the league, and he's going to do great for us for the next 10 seasons. Let's look at the linebackers. We'll start off with Leighton Vander Esch, and he peaked in his rookie season in 2018. That season was phenomenal, but ever since then, he's been on the decline, but he's slowly reviving his career. Damone Clark, really, I have no idea who he is. And Jabril Cox, he's been on the team since 2021 when he drafted him, and he's been alright. He's been good for us when we need him to. And now, let's finish it off with the secondary. By the way, if you hear my dog barking in the background, sorry, she is a little puppy. I've already talked about Stephon Gilmore, so we look at Jordan Lewis. He's been with the team forever, and he's done nothing. But anyway, Kelvin Joseph, like Jabril Cox, he's been with us since 2021, and he's been alright. Jaron Kirsch is the most underrated safety in the league. He is so doubted, and so he's not hated, but not a lot of people know how good he is. Donovan Wilson is also underrated, not as much as Jaron is, but he has 101 tackles, 5 sacks last season. That's pretty good. Of course, Trayvon Diggs, he had that crazy 11 interception season in 2021. He kind of regressed in 2022, but I expect him to still be pretty good next season. And Deron Bland, he's young. He had 5 interceptions last season, which isn't not talked about enough. So it's the Dallas Cowboys.